So here's the last, and I hope the not least, presentation of the day and the conference. It was a pleasure being here, and thank you for the introduction and the committee for inviting me here, accepting me actually to present my work. I'm a first-year PhD student at the University of Melbourne, the Faculty of Fine Arts and Music, combining performance in dance, theatre, and cognitive neuroscience. So music, theatre, and dance have been important parts of the human experience for millennia. Neuroscience has shown a strong interest in performing arts and creativity the last decades, and neuroscientists have studied music for a long time now, but for theatre and dance, there's still a lot to explore, especially for the field of neuroscience of dance, which is a new emerging field but also it's a young one, but it's fast growing. Let me change that. Okay. So music and motion seems to be tightly intertwined, and also in the brain. So this presentation discusses the methodological approach that intended to be used to explore the coupling of perception, action, and as we can see, sound and movement respectively. And in the context of understanding creativity influenced by sounds in movement improvisation. So here are the main research questions of this project, and the main one is how sounds affect the performer in the creation and execution of movements, and how this informs the creative process of the performance piece. So actually I will combine artistic interpretation of the performance influenced by sounds and movement improvisation, and using the data that will be collected, I will explain now the methodological approach to create a new piece. So here is the experiment, briefly explaining the experimental methodology. So there will be 20 performers divided into two groups equally, 10 for each group. There will be, the first step is the movement analysis using video recordings with digital cameras, motion capture, the Microsoft Kinect system, and Laban movement analysis. Will I explain in a minute what exactly this is. Then is the brain signal analysis using the fMRI, and then there will be participants' questionnaire after each experiment. So here is the whole experimental methodology divided into two phases. So in phase one, which is the behavioral data, the group 1, 10 performers, they will improvise in the studio one by one while they're being recorded by digital cameras and motion capture device, and then their movements will be analyzed using the Laban movement analysis. This is a methodology and language for describing, understanding, visualizing, and the human movements that is originally work from Rudolf Laban, which is a dance artist, and he considered as a pioneer of modern dance in Europe. And then the next step is the neural activity data. So the same group of performers, they will sit in an fMRI scanner, and they will be asked to remember and imagine what exactly they did in the studio. And then at the end of the fMRI scanning, they will ask them questions in terms of how similar are the movements that they did from the ones they imagined and the one they actually did in the studio, and to describe in detail the movements that they did. And also here, oh, sorry, this moved, no. They will listen the music here, obviously the actual improvisation, but they will do exactly the same here. So during the fMRI scanning, they will listen the same sounds. So they will be asked to describe the movements they did and how similar it was with the actual performance. Then the second group of performers, the 10 new performers, they will start into the fMRI scanning. So without doing a physical improvisation, they will be asked to, while listening to the same sounds with group 1, to imagining dancing, improvising in a studio environment, which is familiar for every dancer. And then the next step, while again in fMRI scanning, they will watch one performer from group 1 And at the end, they will answer questions. So, question about how was your dance improvisation, the one you imagined, and then how similar was what you imagined with what you see in the video recordings from the other participants. So, the results, they will be used for artistic outcome because it's a practice as research project. The behavior and neural activity data will be compared and correlated, informing the creative process of a new experimental choreographic work in the context of contemporary dance and physical theater. So, and I really hope that also a new methodological approach will be combining performing arts and cognitive science will emerge in order not only to help like choreographers and directors, in order not to use only their personal like ideas and interpretation into a performance, but use actual like feedback from the dancer and performers they use. The reason they're using dancers is because dancers, instead of actors or other kind of performers, are a great example of people that have an incredible spatial awareness of the body, and they have a great connection of mind and body as well. And they'll be used vastly from scientists in comparison with athletes or other people like used to want more dances than an athlete, for example. So, in conclusion, as I said, it's an interdisciplinary practice as research project for perception-action coupling. So this is the experimental methodology that I'm intending to use with movement analysis, brain signal analysis, and the questionnaires. And the intention is to understand creativity influenced by sounds and movement improvisation, and then experimental choreographic processes in dance and physical theater. It's on the focus. Thank you very much, and please ask any questions you have.